On the off chance you ended up with a fate-defying ability, how would you react? Would you be noble? Would you be willing to risk your own life and self-sacrifice for the chance to save everybody around you? Or would you be more calculated? Be somebody who only goes after and saves those who has value and meaning to your life, saving those who only will benefit you. And given this fate-defying ability, given this ability to make change within the world, what does one do when you inevitably fail? Well, in that case, you become a following star, and this is the story of Aldebaran in ReZero. So with all that being said, if you enjoy ReZero, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and take note that this video will be containing spoilers up to Arc 9, Chapter 53, so if you're not caught up, or if you don't care about, the spoilers, continue watching. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it. Despite Aldebaran's introduction within Arc 3 of ReZero, we were not really quantitatively given, a perspective as to who he is, his personal goals, his vendettas, and his overall ideology when it comes to the ReZero world. It wasn't until Arc 5, after the events of Arc 4, where we saw the big team up in the city of Pristella, where we actually got to witness Aldebaran's ability and witness how he parallels Subaru in so many different ways. Up until this point, all what was known was that Aldebaran, just like Subaru, was somebody from Earth, one of the only other people within the ReZero world to be of such moniker, with the other two obviously being our main character Natsuki Subaru and Flugel. Now, just like Natsuki Subaru, Aldebaran has an ability, one that can essentially defy fate, in which he is able to enact a domain based upon a certain set of conditions, which within this domain, he is able to continuously die over and over and over again until he is inevitably able to defeat you, or condition 2 of the domain, in which if you strike him with intent to kill, it seems that this domain will be enacted onto you, and you will get to bear witness to the psychological trauma that Al has to go through, and it will inevitably make you go insane yourself. Now, as of Arc 9, Chapter 53, Aldebaran 2, we have finally begun to get insight on Al, who he is, and why he acts the way he does. It so seemingly seems that Aldebaran was somebody created by Echidna over 400 years ago with the intent of offing Satella. And within the prologues of each Arc 9 volume, we have been seeing the build up to that. We have been witnessing her put Al through psychological trauma, killing him over and over and over again to build his mental health, or rather his mental strength, I should say. And so finally it was revealed that Al was put up to the test to go up against Satella, in which he lost, despite being told over and over again that he could not lose, you cannot lose because you are the being I created. Which we see Echidna sacrifice herself, getting all her limbs cut off, and also mocking Al into the future 380 years in which he wakes up on Gladiator Island, aka Genohava. This info right here was the missing piece to really contextualize all of Al's actions, his motives, his ideologies, and his conflicts with Subaru, and is truly what makes it so tragically ironic and beautiful. No matter what era Aldebaran has been in, he has not been able to save the woman that he loves. Let's go ahead and fast forward to Arc 5 of ReZero now, and we are going to specifically look at Subaru's speech and heroic reveries. For those of you that may not remember, there was an argument that went down before Subaru made his big speech to the city, an ideological clash essentially between Subaru and Garfield and Al. As we all know, Subaru and Al have almost identical abilities. They are truly the only two people within the world of ReZero that could truly understand each other, and it really comes down to, within this ideological clash, the execution of said abilities, in which they both attempt to defy fate within their own ways. Given an ability such as Return by Death, Subaru is able to execute his ideology that everybody needs to be saved, not just the people important to you, but the innocent civilians and everybody around, through this ability, in which Al is a complete contrast to this, and Al argues with Subaru and argues with Garfield, and essentially sees Subaru's ideology as more or less a foolish one. The ideology of a child and somebody who has not been through real pain before, or been through any sort of real struggle and vanity, which leads Al to telling Subaru's group straight to their face that he feels sorry for them. Given the context of what happened 400 years ago now, and Al's inability to defeat Satella and essentially save the Echidna that he loved, it adds a lot more context to all this. Aldebaran, who has been through so many essentially cycles of this world time and time again, has been led to believe that this fate cannot be denied. Even with a fate-denying ability, events are going to take fold, and this cycling is going to continue. Cumulatively, we see these set of ideals continue to clash within later arcs of ReZero, such as Arc 7 and Arc 8, in which we see Subaru's morals and ideals really get pushed to the limits, with Arc 7 and Arc 8 containing the hardest events Subaru has been through up until this point, and containing stuff like the woman that he loved and the woman that he bared more respect to than anybody in the world, straight up telling him that he does not need to be this type of person who saves everybody, that Natsuki Subaru is just an ordinary man and he is no hero. And the character that we see Subaru tag along with the whole entire time throughout these arcs is none other than Aldebaran. It's not just Aldebaran who goes against Subaru's quote-unquote childish ideas. It is essentially the entire nation of Wallachia, represented through characters like Vincent Wallachia, and these childish ideas are hyperbole to Subaru essentially being in a child form for all of Arc 7 and Arc 8. But all of this, to be said, cumulatively leads up to the climax of Arc 8, in which Al has essentially forgotten his goal. He has given in to Natsuki Subaru's heroic rhetorics and heroic reveries, and has followed along with him and followed along with this plan. Seemingly for Aldebaran, somebody who had originally lost all purpose within this world after being time traveled 380 years into the future, was able to find and put a purpose into a new person, that being Priscilla Bariella. Well, with the end of Arc 8 seemingly being a happy one, it is tragically twisted. With the curtains closed of Arc 8, we essentially see Subaru come to an ideological understanding of what Al had been trying to preach to him this whole entire time, as we see a tragic and ironic twist of fates take fold, in which Priscilla starts fading away after the battle of Arc 8, and we see as Aldebaran begs and pleads Subaru to go and just time skip, loop over and over again. And through the words of Priscilla, Subaru falls to his knees. Priscilla is finally able to, in execution, have Subaru come to the understanding that not everybody can always be saved. She tells him that the selfish and childish idea of going back and trying to reset the world for the sake of one person, when there are many other who are going to be affected and are already happy with the outcome that has unfolded, is a childish and quite honestly moronic idea. And all of this unfolding as Aldebaran begs and pleads with Subaru to just do it. But nonetheless, Subaru does not. And Al, yet again, loses the person that he is endeared to the most within the world. For Aldebaran, this is betrayal to the deepest level, a complete betrayal of brotherhood, a complete betrayal of ideology, somebody that timelessly, seamlessly, again and again rejected and denied Aldebaran's ideas through heroic hope and heroic delusions, with Subaru essentially almost fooling Aldebaran into a false reality that he would be able to live this life and Subaru Natsuki will be able to defy fate and make things perfect, yet again is crushed. Just as Echidna had told him 400 years ago when he lost, even though time and time again he was told he wouldn't ever be able to lose. His stars were bad, yet again. And through all of this, and one thing that I have yet to even mention, that being that Rem's existence is one that denies fate. Through Al essentially, seemingly what we know, seeing cycles of this world time and time again, with the presence of Natsuki Subaru now, Rem is somehow alive, and not only is she alive, she has her memories back by the events of Arc 9, showing that while Al, who just seemingly time and time again seems to be a following star, somebody lacking in the footsteps of Flugel or Subaru or whoever you think this person is unable to save the people that he loves, while Natsuki Subaru is able to do just that time and time again. This hatred of Natsuki Subaru, this utter goal and determination to rid him of this world, is driven by more than just hatred, but a sense of envy. One that I think mirrors how Echidna envies Satella, and how I think that will play into the overall fact of what happened 400 years ago very heavily within future arcs of ReZero. But Echidna and Al are kind of like envious versions of Subaru and Satella, or Flugel and Satella, however you want to say it. And what makes this even worse for Aldebaran is Echidna's essential obsession with Natsuki Subaru. Within the Arc 9 prologue, Echidna even envisioning Al as Subaru, which I believe now, knowing a lot of Al's backstory and ultimately what happened 400 years ago to a good degree, at least to a much higher one than we originally ever knew, doesn't imply that Al equals Subaru, but rather more so implies that what Echidna wants more than anything in the world is for Al to be Subaru, but at the end of the day, he is not Natsuki Subaru. It is for that exact reason that he is not Natsuki Subaru that he is forever just going to be the following star. He is going to follow Subaru. He is going to try to be Subaru. He's been told to be Subaru or to be Flugel from the very creation of his existence by Echidna 400 years ago, to be like that person, to try to copy their ability, to have essentially a knockoff version of their ability. He is never given his own name and his own identity. And even when he found new purpose within the world of ReZero, within Priscilla, that purpose and that new identity is crushed yet again by Natsuki Subaru, which is the onset of Al's original plan, in which he remembers his original goal and his original purpose within this world 400 years ago, and that being to stop the secondary damage. The secondary damage in question being Natsuki Subaru, the foolish hero who thinks he could save everybody, in which Al knows that's not true and that can't happen because he's bared witness to it with his own eyes. If I had to guess what happened 400 years ago, it would be that something happened with Satella. We ultimately don't know yet. There was this exact ideological clash that we see now between Subaru and Al 400 years ago, but instead between Echidna and, Flugel's group, in which Echidna probably had an ideological difference, believing that Satella was not to be saved and that she needed to be killed, in which she created Aldebaran for that exact purpose, whereas Flugel's group, or whoever the other group in this instance was, sought to save Satella and to keep her alive in some sort of way. Through this, Echidna failed yet again, telling Al that his stars were bad, essentially telling him that it's not your fault, you were just unlucky. While Flugel's group was successfully able to seal Satella without killing her. Ultimately though, we're just gonna have to let Arc 9 finish to see the full picture of Al's ideology and what really happened 400 years ago. All that being said, Subaru and Al are one of the most tragically twisted and ironic dynamics within all of ReZero, and I really do think Aldebaran is a top 3 character within ReZero as of right now, and especially when his character will be concluded. A couple other things I want to touch on is there is a lot of theory and speculation as to where Al is actually going to put Subaru and how he is actually going to rid him from this world. And I think another interesting facet is, Al's inability to actually go after and hurt Amelia within a sense, or a sort of feeling he has to save her, as we saw within, Arc 9, Chapter 53, he essentially saved Amelia. If I had to guess, Al probably has some sort of connection to Satella herself, and Amelia's resemblance, bearing Satella obviously, leaves Al feeling some sort of way. I think another very interesting factor of all of this is Al's, questioning of Rem's existence and how she is alive, and essentially the cycle of world repeating we have seen through Aldebaran. Overall, though, I think what Tappe has inevitably been able to construct between these two characters of Natsuki Subaru and Aldebaran almost essentially falling for Natsuki Subaru's false heroic reveries and this childish ideology that Al originally knew to critique and say was dumb, all for it to inevitably, collapse after Al put his trust into Subaru, and Al to have his identity and purpose within this world crushed by a fate-defying figure yet again is just so sad and twisted. And it really makes you question Al and Flugel's relationship 400 years ago and what actually went down with Echidna and Al's entire existence as a following creature and a following star. With name and identity being of so much purpose within the ReZero world, Aldebaran's whole identity being based upon, killing or essentially ending this plague to the world, only knowing Echidna, only knowing dying and repeating over and over again, and only having this crushed by Natsuki Subaru is just insane. Overall though, I'm rambling now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really was on the fence about making this analysis type of video now, and I really wanted to wait for, more Al chapters to come out, but I feel like it's starting to really piece together what's happening. I could be completely wrong, but I think the reason I ended up making this still is I really do think the ideological, backgrounds and the themes are going to play out pretty similarly. I'd be surprised if they didn't, unless Tappe threw in like a big twist, which he very well could, but I don't think he will. But ultimately, yeah, amazing dynamics, amazing characters, amazing everything. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Sorry for the big break. I've been really pinned on school lately. I don't even know how I found the time to make this, but I'm rambling. And yeah, peace out, guys. Hope you enjoy.